Welcome back to Learning Partner. So with this video, we are going to complete a Zomato flow, right? But not with the mobile app, but with the website. So this is just a sample flow diagram, what we are going to cover. Let's say we have a website, right? On that website, login page will be there. And by means login page, like we will have two roles. First one is the customer and second one is the restaurant. So on the website, customers will get to see all the food category. Let's say pizza, sandwich, cake, etc. Like if customer select cake, he will land on this another page with the restaurant list who are serving cake, right? Let's say if he again come back and if he click on pizza, he will land on the same page with the restaurant details which are serving pizza. Then user will select particular item with some quantity and add it, and finally he will place the order. That order will be visible to the restaurant login. So you can see customer will select the food category. He can see all the restaurant providing that selected food item. He will add the quantity. He will add that particular item with the quantity, and he will finally place the order. We are not going to cover the payment part again. It's a tricky thing. We have to integrate payment gateway again. So many things are there, but just we are trying to cover the basic flow, right? So once customer place the order, that same order, restaurant will get to see, right? So if on the login page, if restaurant login, he will get to see what are the orders he has received for the particular day, right? So this is the whole flow we are going to cover. So let's get started with project creation and everything. So I have bunch of APIs also. So let me just show you the APIs which we are going to use. So the API URL is free, api.miniprojects.com. Let me just check once again. Okay, so APIs are working now. So in this Swagger, you can see at the bottom, Zomato controller is there, and in that you can find all the APIs. So just to start with, first restaurant APIs will be there, like we can add restaurant, we can see all the restaurant, then all menus we can see. So let me just try it out. So see, these are the menu items we have along with different restaurants. We have some image also. Then we have food categories. So let's try it out also. So you can see these are the 4 categories we have currently registered in our application. Then get all user API, because users will be there. Then add new order, right? Then again get all order by customer, so that customer can, get all order by restaurant, so that particular restaurant can see the order received for them, right? So these are the various APIs we have. We are going to do the same integration in our projects also. So these are the real APIs which we can use, right? Link will be provided in the video description. So just make a use of it. Now, first thing is like we have to create the project. So this is just the folder I have created. Inside that, we have to create the project. So I'm opening command prompt over here. So ng new Zomato, enter. So this is the command to create new projects. So it will ask a question like, do you need a routing file or not? So we say yes. And with simple CSS, we are going to do. So this have created a basic project, right? You can see the basic file structure have been created, and it is now installing the packages we need to run this particular project. So let's, while this process goes on, let's open the particular folder. So open folder, localhost, YouTube, and Zomato, and inside that Zomato. So this is the folder I'm looking. Select folder, right? So you can see particular project folder I have opened now. Just let me zoom a little bit. Right. So this is the particular project I have opened. Now, let me just move the folder to the parent folder. What I have did is I have just moved that particular folder into my parent folder, because this is the repository folder. Now I have started the npm install. So npm install is in the process. Now let's open the new Visual Studio Code. Let's try to open that particular folder. Open folder, We just have to go to that particular location, YouTube and Zomato. So you can see this is the actual folder we have, select folder. Right, so node module installation is going on there. So I won't go into the detail like what are the file structure and everything we have, because other videos are there. You might refer my videos or another anyone's video, right? So we can just start with the project. So the components we are going to need. So in the app folder, let's create a folder, let's say pages, and inside these pages, we are going to create a components, right? So right click, open in new terminal, we have to create projects. We have to create the components. Now, what are the components we are going to need? So just to show you, I have created the basic UI, right? Using HTML and CSS and the Bootstrap. So this is kind of a landing page where we are going to show all the food categories. Then we will be clicking on that and then we will open the another page. So that this is the landing page. Then we have another page where we will be showing restaurant list serving particular food category. Then the order page. So 3 components we are going to need for now. So let's just create it, and login component is also there. So ng generate, we can write the short form component, that is, let's say login. This is the first component we are going to create. Yeah, so this process is also completed. So npm install is done. Let me close the remaining. So first component created, then landing page, or let's say app. We can use app component or app component as a login page. It's we won't be using app component for any particular purpose. We will just keep our router outlet over there, right? So next component is like, let's make landing page or categories. So in this particular component, we are going to show all the categories we have, food item categories. The next component is like restaurant serving those categories. So that will be ng generate categories, items. Let me just, so that particular page, we can say like in that particular page, we are going to show particular food item, particular restaurants which are serving that particular selected category. So let's say that page will be restaurant items, right? So in this page, we are going to show all the food items that will be provided by that particular restaurants. Then next component is like order or create order component. So with this 4 component, at least we can start. Then gradually, once we come to know like this is also page we are going to need, we will create likewise. So 4 components we have created. Let's create the route for the same. So in app routing module.ts, we have to create the route. So this is an empty route we have already got. So first path will be for login page, component, login component. This is first, again second, again path. Second will be food category, then component, category component. Let me just copy paste, that will save our time. Right, then what was the page? Restaurant items. Let me just copy this. Restaurant item component, then order, create order. and this will be create order component. So 4 component we have created. Now I need the code to show this basic navbar that I have created. This is the navbar I'm going to integrate. So I have the code ready with me. Let me just grab it. So this was the navbar. Let me just open it. So this is a navbar. Navbar will go into our app component. So this is my app component. Navbar will go over here. Do we need any CSS? Let me just grab the CSS and put that in the global style.css. Let's file save all. Let's open a new terminal by clicking over here. Now we need to run the project. So ng serve, right? So let's click on enter. So currently project is getting compiled, and once it is compiled, it will run to the by default port, that is 4200. So let's wait for some time. So here localhost 4200. Yes, so you can see it is coming, but it is not looking as per right that. So we need bootstrap, right? So for now, I'm just putting my link into index.html. So I don't want to waste time installing all that because functionality is the main thing we are concerned. Yeah, so you can see the navbar is there. Now on this navbar, we just have to add our links, right? So instead of this href, we are going to use RouterLink. So first page will be like the default page. Again, we can just create one default page we can create if the route is empty. Then we can say we just have to show the food category. Let's see if it shows the food categories. Okay, router outlet is missing. So in app component, we are going to need the router outlet. So router outlet will be there. Yes, so you can see on the page load category, page is getting loaded. Next thing, this is home page, means nothing but our category page. So that is food category over here. Then we are going to need the login page. So login. That's it. So for now, we can just create these pages. Right. So home, and on click of log about, we have to change that will be login. Right. So we have added home and the login page, 2 components we have added. So first thing what we have to do is we have to show the menus, right? So like this. So let's just copy the code we have. After that, this was a div. So let me just copy. This is just a static page, right? But we will okay, footer we have missed. So let me just add that footer over here. Let's see how does it look. Yeah, okay. Now we are going to need these divs. Let's just copy, and this will go into our categories folder because here we are going to show the categories. Let's add the missing div. Right. So let's save and check. In the home, you can see that card came, but the image is not coming now. So let's go to the API, see like what API we are going to use. Now in the API, the Zomato, so first API that we are going to need is, let me see. Get all food categories, the API we are going to integrate, where we are going to show these things. but we don't have any API which will get all the menus by that particular category. So let me just create that first. Yes. So the first API we are going to integrate is get food category. So if we click on execute, we are going to get all the categories. So let's say I want to see, I have clicked on dosa. So I'm going to use another API that will get me all the dosa restaurant which are serving dosa. So you can see only one restaurant is serving dosa. Let's see cake, execute. So 3 restaurants are serving cake, right? So the first API we have to integrate on the category page is this. So let's copy this URL. Now we have to make the API. So for that, first we need to add HTTP client module in our import statement in the app module. Client, okay. So let me just add the import statement first. So poor common / HTTP. And this will be HTTP client module. Right, so this will go over here. So without this, we cannot make the API call, right? So first thing is done. We have added the HTTP client module over there. Next thing is we have to create the service. So in app folder, I will create a folder services, and here I will create a service. So I click on new terminal, ng generate service master. I'm just giving it a name master. All this API call function I'm going to put it in the master service only. Right, so service is created. Now first thing we have to do is first we have to integrate the HTTP client service. So private HTTP client, right? The object is created. First API call is like get all food category. Now here we are going to return the data whatever we get from the particular API. The API call is get, so get, then we have to provide the API. Right. Let me just copy that API again. So this is my API. Right. So whatever the response we get from this particular API, that we are going to return. Now we need to call this master service into our category component. Just close unnecessary things. So again, we are going to need we have to create the constructor. Here we will inject our master service. So private master service colon master service. We are going to need the import. So let's just add it. Right. So again, we are going to need, we have to implement the ng on in it. Implements on init. Let me just add over here on it. Now it will suggest. Then ng on init. Right. So let's create a function load all food categories. So this is a function. In this function, I'm going to call that particular function from the service. So this dot master service dot, only one function is there. Dot, that function is going to return the data type of observable. So we can subscribe to that. Yes, colon any. Right. So this is the normal API call. Whatever the response we get, that we need to hold it somewhere, right? So we need the variable category list colon any. I'm not going to create interface and classes. Just with any I'm going to create, because again it will invest so much time into that. So this dot category list is equal to res dot data. Why res dot data? Because if you see the API response, I'm going to get with each API response, this is the same structure. In the data, I'm going to actually get the data. See, the response type is object, and inside data, I'm getting the actual data, right? So you can see that's why I have did like this. Now we have to call this function on the page load. So here it will be like this, right? So let's check if everything is working fine or not. So project is compiled successfully. On the page load, we should see the network API call. Let's reload. Yes, so we have got the API call and response also we have got, right? So now we just need to bind that category list to our HTML. So this is the call. So star ng for let category of our array. Then we will bind this over here. So currently we are not getting, we don't have the image, right? So let it be like that. So let's save and check. So whatever the categories we have got, so see, those are displayed over here. So you can add the particular images, right? Or I will modify the API. Means API will come with particular food category item and the image also, right? Now, next thing is like, if I click on the dosa, I have to navigate to that another page, which will show all the restaurant who are providing dosa, right? So let's go to our app routing model.ts. So this was the normal page. Now, when we are going to this component, we will be sending out an in query parameter. We have to send like on which food category we have selected. So for that, we need to add our parameter. So this was a normal route. So after this, we just have to add slash, then what is it? Category name, right? So this is now route with the parameter, right? So now when in the category component on click of this, so let's write the click event. Navigate and let's pass the category. Let's create this function. Now we are in this function, from this function we are going to navigate, right? So here we are sending category so that we can receive over here. So let's name it as item colon string data type. Then we have to create an object of router. So private router colon router. Then here we are going to write this dot router dot navigate, right? So first parameter will be our route name. So route name is restaurant slash items, and the second parameter will be our item, right? So let's check till this now if we are able to navigate. So currently we are on the food category. If I click on idli, you can see we have successfully navigated to the restaurant item and with parameter. Now in this component, we have to read this query parameter, right? So for that, so in restaurant item component, we have to read the route, right? So again, let's create an object of routing private activated route. That is the service object we are going to create. Right. So in the constructor itself, we can just subscribe to the route. So this will be this dot activated route dot params, nothing but parameters dot subscribe. Let's wrap it in the route bracket. Let's add a debugger so that I can show you like how do you get the data. Here you can see in the result, in the category name, you get whatever you have in your URL, right? So now in this component, what we have to do, we have to integrate the another API, that is just right below, that is get food items by category, right? So this API we have to integrate. So let's copy. Now we have to create a function, load food items by category, something the function name. right? Let's create a function in the service, get items by restaurant by category and name, from bracket curly bracket. So again, return this dot http dot, again get API only. Let's just paste. Now instead of this, it will be parameter name colon string, and this name we have to just append it over here, that is plus. Now we need to call this function into our API call. So this dot, okay, we need to create the service instance also, private master service, this dot master. Now in master service we have two functions. So this function we have to integrate, and we need to pass the food item name. So that will be name colon string, just parameter we are adding because we are going to call this function in this subscribe thing. So this name will go over here in normal thing dot subscribe and everything. Result colon any, right? So this function we are going to call once we read the data from the query string, right? So this result dot, let's read that. So result dot category name, this was the key we have to read, right? So this will be called. Now we have to create one more item because we are going to store all the data we get from this particular API. So let's say item colon any square bracket is equal to square brackets, and whatever the response we get, that we are going to hold it over here is equal to res dot data, right? So let's just save all and check if we are getting the data correct. Right, let me just add a debugger over here, continue. Yes, so we have got the data in result dot data. You can see 3 items we have got, right? So we now here we have got the images also. Okay, we are going to need only restaurant IDs there, but here we are going to need the restaurant name also. Like in Zomato, we get to see which restaurant name also, right? So let me just make changes to the API. So I have done changes to the API. So let's see once again. Now we should see the restaurant name also. So in result.data, yes, so see restaurant name is also coming, price and everything is coming. Now, so we have to bind the data, whatever we have got in the, again, card format only. So we will use the same structure, what we have used to show the categories. So let me just copy paste. But here, the data we will be binding will be something else, right? So items for loop, first we have to check. Now we have got the image, right, from the array. So that is in the property. Let me just search, that is photo URL. So this I am going to bind it using property binding. It will be item. So item dot this property, then item dot, let's see if we are getting the name. Yes, menu item name we are also getting. So let's just save and check if we have got the UI perfect. Yes, so you can see we have got the UI perfectly. We have to show the price also, right? So let's change the structure a little bit. This is row. It is simple row is there, then call. Okay, now inside row on the we are just trying to achieve the same UI what we have in the Zomato, because in the left side we get the image, then right side name and everything. So that I'm trying to do. So this for loop, so for 4 will be there, or for let's say 3, and inside that again I will open a row, call 3 for the image. So this image will go over here, and we have got call 9, and here I will be using, okay, so we need the card, right? So first in this row, let's put the name over here. Let's see if we get the proper design. Yes, so we have got something similar. Let's just increase the space. Instead of call 3, let's make it call 4. This will be 8. Still it is looking very small. 5. Okay, so now it is looking proper. So first thing, like call 3, instead of call 3, let's make it call 4, and this will be call 5, and this will be call 7. And inside this call 7 again, the first H5 we are showing the menu name. Then again, let's make it H4, and here H6 will be there, and here we will be printing product, that particular price name. So item dot, let's see if we are getting the rate. This price also we are getting, so let's show the price over here. Let's see how does it look now. Let's add this over here, and the restaurant name also we have to show. So that we will show in just a paragraph. Item dot restaurant name. So this will go over here. So let's see. Yes. Card title, text, right. So I think in the card title something is, let's try now. Okay, so text end is there. Sorry. Right. So our menus are visible like this. Now we need add button over here, so that we will be adding the particular item to my cart, right? So for that, call 7 is there, right? So where we can add that particular button. So restaurant name, we can put it below this image, and here we can have that button plus btn sn success add item. Yeah, how does it look? So see, this is how it is looking. Text and Okay. So we can remove this class from here and put it just over here so that we don't need this. This also not needed and this is also not needed. Right. So we have got our proper card. Right. Here also we are showing the restaurant name, particular item name, price. You can see 120 swad and 9 is showing that particular with 150. So now on click of add, what we need to do, we just need to add this particular item, right, to our cart item. So for that, we need to first do the login thing. So let's implement the login thing. So we have this login component was there. So let's copy paste the basic template from HTML CSS. Login template HTML CSS. Let's search it. Let's go over here. Let's use the basic one. And let's use this. So we just need to copy this, go to the login page, HTML, let's place this. Now we are going to need the CSS. So let's copy everything and put it into the login.css. Just one thing we need to do, this body thing, we need to change it with parent, and this class we need to add it about the parent component. And we have to wrap this whole code over here because we don't have the body over here. So just a wrapper, it will work. Let's see how does it look now. You can see it is looking perfect, right? But we are getting that nav bar also, but let's ignore that for now because functionality is like we just need to integrate the login page. So here login page is there, right? So background we can read, no need of that, right? So login page is there. Now we need to integrate the login API. So let's check the login API. Login API is there, and this is the object which we have to send. So let's create that object, login obj colon any. Right. So let's initialize that with empty. This we have to bind over here. This is the text box. So round bracket ng model. Okay, so I'm not going to dictate everything. This because we are mainly focused with the project flow. How do we do the login and ng model thing? Everything I have covered already in the separate episodes. So please do refer those. Username and password. Now it is giving error because we have to add the forms module also in our app module. So let's just add that, comma, forms module. Now error won't be there, right? So since this particular form is in the form tag, so we need to add that name attribute also. Otherwise it will throw the error. So same thing, username will be over here. Let's just copy paste, right? So the API call. Now on click of this login button, we need to make our API call. So click event on login function. So this function we are going to need in our login component. Now we need to create that login API call service. So login round bracket, we will be sending object colon any. So this dot http dot post API call is there. Okay. So for post API call, we will be needing two parameters. First is the URL and second is the object. So this object will go over here and return statement will be needed. Let's see the API call, try it out. You see, if we don't provide anything, we will get the error like this. So this is the API call, right? Now I need to call the same thing into my login component. So again, constructor we are going to need private HTTP colon HTTP client, right? So here this dot HTTP dot sorry, not HTTP, master we have to create. I forgot we have created master service, master, right? So master dot login, and we need to pass the object. So this dot login object will be passing, then the subscribe call. Round bracket result colon any. Right, so here we can just, let's see what type of user we have. Create all user, write out, execute. Only one user is there, so we will, so this type of data we are going to get, right? So let me just create a restaurant. Okay, we will create it afterwards. So this is the login detail. So this Kanchan, whatever the data we will be getting from the user, from the API after successful login, that we need to store in the local storage. So I'm simply adding a check if it is true or not. So local storage dot set item. Let's provide the key as Zomato user, and we need to parse, stringify it. So JSON dot stringify, and we need to pass the whole object. So res dot data we need to pass, right? And then we can just navigate back to our component. So for that, private router is dot router dot navigate by URL, and we need to pass the URL. So that is nothing but on the category page we can navigate. So it will be like this, and if the user credentials are not correct, so we can just show the alert box. Res dot message we can use. So let's test this if it is working properly. Let's use this username, this password. Let's open the network call. So on click of login. So let's see what response we get. You can see result we have got the 2 because same credential we have passed, and the result dot data we have got whole data. Currently restaurant ID is coming now because this is a customer user, right? Let's try to go again to login page, and let's try to provide some wrong data. And now if I click on login, you can see in the result I will get false, right? And the alert we will be showing the message whatever we have got from the API, right? So this part is done. So login in the local storage we already have got the data because on the first time we have successfully saved. So you can see Zomato user we have got the data. Now when we add, so in the restaurant page, right, let's say if I click on dosa, particular item, one item is there. Now if I click on add, I need to I need to add this particular item to my cart, right? So to achieve the cart, we have to integrate, we have to make use of the service. So whenever user clicks add, what we need to do is we need to add this particular item with certain quantities into our subject. So subject is, I will explain in some time. So we are going to store like whatever user has added to somewhere, right? So for that, in the navbar, means in our app component here at the right side, we will try to show, or somewhere here we'll try to show the added item. So For that, first on the click of add, we need to open a model pop-up. So on click of this add pop-up, let me just add a bootstrap.js also, because we are going to need that. We need to open the model pop-up because we are going to ask user to enter the quantity. So for that, we are going to need JS also. So after the CSS, and JS is here. Then let's check the click for model pop-up. Then we have model over here. So this is just a sample code for model. Let me just copy. This will be in the restaurant item. So paste it. Let's remove the unnecessary things. Now, here what we are going to need is, we are just going to ask quantity, what user needs for that particular selected item. So let's just add a label, enter quantity, and a text box we will need. Class, bootstrap class we will add, that is form control. On click of close, add item. Now we need to open this model pop-up on this particular button click. So let's write that event, click, open quantity model, right? And we need to send the particular item also. So this item will go over here, right? Let's write the function. And from HTML, we are sending the current object, like on which object we have said add, right? So that we need to catch it, item :any, right? So now here what we need to do, I mean, to open the model pop-up, we have several ways, but we will be using just the JavaScript ways by document.getElement by ID. So what we are going to do first, we will try to read the model document dot get element by ID round bracket, right? So this is what we have tried to read the particular element, just the null check model is not equal to null, then model dot style dot display is equal to block what we need. Just like this, we can create a close function also, because we are going to need the function to close it. So in close, we just have to make it none, right? So now this function will open the model pop-up. So let's save and check it. So now if I click on add, you can see we have got the model pop-up, right? So let's just modify some things. Model heading should be like quantity, right? Now we need one variable that we will bind to that text box, :number is equal to 0. Let's initialize it with 0. In this, we will bind it over here, square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to, and our variable. Now, on click of this add, what we are going to do is, we have to store whatever the items we are adding into particular storage, right? So for that, we will create a service into master. We will create a variable into masters. So that is nothing but, let's create an object, cart items :any. Let's create an empty object data or items :empty array. So you can see in master service, I have created a variable. In that object is there. Inside that, an item property is there, which is going to hold the array. So now whenever I say add, right? Whenever I enter the ad and I click on add item, so I need to store some data into that master service. So write a click event. Then we are going to multiple items we are going to add. Then finally we are going to make the order, right? So for now, let's skip that. We will just make the API call, order API call from the add item only. Okay. So just to make it a short and complete our flow. So add item, click event, place order from bracket. We need to we need to create this function. So only with one item, I'm going to complete the whole flow. So let's check the API to place the order. You can see add new order. This is the API. So if you see the structure, this is the structure. The API is like that. We can pass multiple items. You can see this is an array, right? But for now, we are just trying to complete the basic flow with one API only. Now let me just copy this object. Let's create an object, order, obj, colon any equal to, right? So this is a basic object we have got. Order date, let's make it new date. Current date we need to send. Other thing, user ID, we are going to, while login, we have stored the data into local storage, right? So we have to extract that only. So sorry, here. So in the constructor, I will just try to read the data, constant, local, or logged in data, right? So instead of set item, it will be get item because we are going to read the data now. While storing, we have converted the object into string. So again, we have to convert it back. So again, if condition log data not equal to null, it is mandatory now just to add the null check. So that's why I'm adding it. Const data is equal to JSON dot parse. So whenever we convert the data into string, whenever we convert array or object into string, and if we have to convert it back, we have to use JSON dot parse method, right? So once we have got the data, that data means user ID, we have to assign it to object dot this dot object dot user ID. So this user ID we have to assign. Now data dot, let's check the local storage. In what property we get the data. So application, local storage, user ID will be. I is capital. Dot user ID, right? Then restaurant ID we will be picking up from the item. So now, so in place order, we have to hit our API. So let me just copy the URL. Let's try to hit it. So this is my URL. So now let's create a API call function in our service. Place order. This is the post API. So obviously we are going to need object. So here again return this dot http dot post. Two parameter, first is the URL and second is the object. So our service call is ready. Now this service call we have to do it here. But now when we open a model and when we open the model, we click on the add button, right? But we need to store somewhere like what item we have clicked. So for that, let's create a variable. Selected food item colon any, or let's make it multiple only. I will try to achieve the same. So we have created another variable that is selected. So in this variable, we are going to store whatever the item currently user has selected, right? So in this variable, whenever we click on add item, so instead of this now, this order is there, right? Okay, let's not make things complicated. It will be simple array only, right? So whenever we click on open item, so that particular item we need to store in this variable. I will explain the whole flow once again. Let me just complete the code. So when we say add, this model pop-up is open, and whatever on which item we click, that item we are storing in this current variable, right? So wherever we have clicked, on which food item we have clicked, that data we have got into this particular variable. Now, so this variable data, once we place order, we need to change the data. If you can see, quantity is what we needed. So now on click of add, let's see what do we get. So in item, we get item ID also and restaurant ID also, right? Everything we have got in the item. So we need to create this object, right? So let's copy this and paste it over here. Const item obj is equal to, right? So item ID, we will get it from this object. Dot item dot item ID. So I and D is capital. So this will be over here, right? Then in the whole object, means the global object, order object, we are going to need the restaurant ID, right? So that this dot order object dot restaurant ID is equal to this dot selected item dot, let's check the property name, restaurant ID. Let's copy it. We just need to create a whole object, whatever API needs, right? So now we have got the one object, and let's in quantity, we have to bind the text box variable, right? Quantity, because this we have binded to the particular text box. These two field we have to just send it 0, because order ID we don't know and order item ID, these are the primary keys, right? Then in this order object dot Zomato order item, this is an array, we have to push this particular object, item object here. Then we have to make our API call. So this dot master service dot place order, and we have to pass this particular object, order object, and dot subscribe thing. Right. So here we can add just a result dot, just the additional check if API call is success or not. Alert order placed. Right. If not, else whatever the error message we get from the API side, that we will display. Result dot message. So let me just add a debugger and explain you the whole thing. So files, save all, let's call it now. So we have got this item. So if I click on add, so first API, first function is getting called, which is to opening the model. But we have got this object, right? And this object we are going to store into this particular variable, that is selected food item. So here we have all the data on which item we have said add, right? After that, let's add the quantity. Let's make it 4. And if I click on add item, see the place order function got called. Now we have created item over here, item object over here, Inside that item ID we are passing and quantity, that is 4 because we have binded this particular variable to the text box. Now we have got the item object ready. Then we need the restaurant ID also. In selected food item only restaurant ID was there. Okay, so we missed ID. Let me just make it proper because we have missed D over here. So I'm just adding it for now. We missed everywhere. Restaurant ID is equal to, let's check what was the restaurant ID. 1 only. So 1. Okay, so our object will be proper. Then in the order item, we are pushing the current item we have created. So if you see the whole object, you can see order date, order ID will be 0 because that is primary key. Order number we don't have to send, it will be auto generated. Total amount we have missed, let it be. User ID we have sent, and the Zomato order items, you can see the details. Item ID 3 and the quantity 4. So let's try to make the API call. Yes. So in the result.result, we have got true, means order has successfully placed. So let's check the get API call, get all order, try it out, execute. Yes, so see, this is the recent order we have done. And order ID, where is order ID? Order ID is 16. Let's try to open the same order ID. That will be get order by order ID. And here 16 is the order ID. So whatever the items we have added, yes, so you can see that order, you can display it over here. Total amount was 0. Okay, so this is like the whole operation. Now, the next part is if we log in with the particular restaurant, then we have to use this API, get all order by restaurant ID. So if I pass 1 over here, execute, so see, this is the existing record. So I can see all the orders I have received for my restaurant, whichever customer has placed. So this is the whole thing which we can complete. So this was just a basic idea like how we can do. Again, I have to change some APIs and write some more logic. In the next video, I will try to make the full complete cycle, like I can see the cart, whole order page and everything, because currently I don't have that UI ready, and ultimately video length will increase. But for now, I have tried to just cover the basic thing, whatever we can, right? So this is the basic idea where we can conclude our Zomato or any food ordering system which we have in the online, right? So in the next video, I will try to cover the whole flow. Till then, just try to cover whatever we have seen in this video.